We need a true prairie populist that is going to go up to Washington and is going to fight for the people, fight for Iowa and Iowans, and not just the billionaires and the large corporations, as we're seeing us move into the second Gilded Age.
They call me the hairy, tattooed fat guy that says it how it is. And if that's what it is, then people can understand that we're not going to sit idly by and I'm going to say the things that need to be said so people understand we're not going to keep doing this. And then that's the way I'm going to fight.
All right, now we got a very special episode of The Revolution for you guys. So what we're trying to do is bring on folks who believe that the system needs to change. And in this case, we've got two Senate candidates in Iowa, both Democrats who are left-wing populists. And so we wanted to talk to both of them back to back. This is not a debate, it's a discussion. We want to hear from them. And the first person up is Josh Turek. Second person is going to be Nathan Sage. We're going to ask similar questions here. And then we want you to vote at tyt.com if you're a paying member. We're keeping it to paying members because we don't want trolls. We want to get a sense of where our core audience is. It's not a binding vote, but it'll help inform us which direction we should go. So guys, this is a unique opportunity because there are very rarely two great candidates in a race and very rarely two populist progressives in a race. So Josh is up first. Josh, welcome to the show. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
No problem. So Josh, for the folks who don't know, tell us who you are and give us an elevator pitch. Why should they pick you?
Sure, I am Iowa State Representative Josh Turek. I am the first permanently disabled member of the Iowa legislature, something I'm very proud of, to be able to give a voice to the 1 in 5 disabled Iowans that are blind, deaf, intellectually disabled, or physically disabled. Our state capital wasn't even fully accessible. I am also the Democrat that represents the reddest district that was won on election day. Trump won my county by 20 points, won the two communities that I represent by double digits, and I was able to win by nearly 6 points, a 14-point overperformance. And that has taught me the right candidate with the right message, and that right message is certainly prairie populism. And the right work ethic, we can win in adverse conditions. I'm someone that is from a working class community. I'm from a place called Council Bluffs, Iowa, where I was born and raised. 65% of my community lives at or below the poverty line. I'm someone that went through an enormous amount of economic struggle in my life. We went to the Goodwill for our clothes. We shared clothes. We went to the free summer lunch programs, had the wrong color lunch tickets for those of you that means something to. So in a really deeply personal way, I understand the struggles of what so many people are going through right now just to keep food on the table and a roof above their head. I was born with my disability, was born with a condition called spina bifida, so I'm a wheelchair user. This was due to my father's exposure to Agent Orange in Vietnam. I had my first surgery at 1 day old. I had 21 surgeries before I was even 12. And so I'm certainly somebody that knows and understands the importance of healthcare. And I fundamentally believe that healthcare is a human right. I found myself into politics initially because I was working in healthcare. What I was doing is I was assessing and providing mobility devices for individuals with disabilities and working with those with progressive conditions. And what we were finding is, since Iowa had privatized its Medicaid system, a 1,000% increase in the denial rate for individuals. And I thought that was fundamentally wrong. Found out we had never had a permanently disabled member of the legislature. And I thought it was due to this lack of representation of why we were seeing all these unnecessary barriers to healthcare and to employment. And so even though I was out here in very red Western Iowa, I went out every single day and I dragged my wheelchair upstairs to have conversations with Republicans and independents. In 2022, I was the only Democrat to win a competitive election in all of Western Iowa. I won by just 6 votes, so absolutely never doubt that every single one of your votes matter. That was a 13-point overperformance. But I'm even more proud that we turned that 6-vote margin into a 6% margin, as I said. And that has really told me that the right candidate with the right message and the right work ethic, we can win in these adverse conditions. I'm also a 4-time Paralympian. As you can see, these are my jerseys behind me, and I'm a 2-time gold medalist in wheelchair basketball. For those of you who don't know, the Summer Paralympics is the 2nd largest sporting event on earth behind the Summer Olympics. So I think that's my story, and I'm genuinely happy to be here.
That's awesome, Josh. I appreciate it. So tell us what prairie populism means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a prairie populist like my hero, Senator Harkin, who was the father of the American with Disabilities Act, and individuals like Paul Wellstone. Prairie populism is fighting for the middle class. It's fighting for working families. It's fighting for our small family farms, which are being absolutely destroyed, and certainly destroyed by what we're seeing with the tariffs and the commodities prices. It's fighting for small businesses. It's fighting for a livable wage and for affordable healthcare and affordable pharmaceuticals. It's fighting for affordable housing. That to me is what a genuine prairie populist is. It's someone that is fighting for the people, fighting for Iowa and Iowans, and not just looking out for DC donors and lobbyists and large corporations and billionaires, as we're seeing us move into a second Gilded Age.
You said that you overperformed by 13 points. Tell us, for the folks who don't know what that means, what does that mean? But more importantly, why do you think you did?
Yeah, what does that mean does that mean there was 14% of the individuals that decided to go down ballot Republican and voted for me as a Democrat. That was about 50% better than any other Democrat in the entire state. 9% was the one that was in second. The way that I did that was, one, as I said, going out there every single day and being willing to have the hard conversations, getting out there and having conversations with Republicans and independents. The math didn't work any other way. But I was also very disciplined with my message. I didn't focus on the culture war issues. I went out there and I basically talked about 5 things. I talked about the need to raise a minimum wage, and here in Iowa, it's egregiously low, $7.25, and I live in a border community right on the border with Nebraska, and it really has impeded us in particular. And I also talked about the need for affordable and accessible healthcare. And when someone crawls up to your door, first of all, they say, "How in the world did you get here?" Well, I crawled up here, and they have a visible disability, and they tell you that they had 21 surgeries before they're 12 years old. They have a credibility to be able to speak to that. I talked about the need for affordable pharmaceuticals. Sadly, because of my district, one of the most consistent things that I heard on the doors were people saying they've changed their job or they've changed insurance and they can no longer afford to take their medication. And I say it's fundamentally wrong to live in the richest country on earth and having people having to make the impossible decision of every month. This month, do I take my pills or do I pay my bills? I talked about the need to support our public schools and that our public money belongs in our public schools. Iowa, we were #1 in public education. We've now precipitously dropped down now to 26. And I talked about the need to address our cancer rates. Here in Iowa, we have the highest rates of cancer behind only Kentucky, and we're the only state with a growing cancer rate, something that has really touched my life personally. Actually, today I spent the entire day with my sister, who was diagnosed with breast cancer recently, and I spent the day with her actually in chemotherapy. And the last thing I talked about the need for clean air and clean water. And that was it. That was the discipline in my messaging. And I went out every single day and talked to people. And I think that we can employ that exact same route, genuine prairie populism, to be able to win in this state right now.
So you signed on to the populist plank, and so that's got 6 different components to it. Of those, what do you think resonates the best in Iowa in your experience, especially in connecting the left and the right?
Yeah, well, what was fascinating to me when I was out knocking doors, my assumption was that the only thing that was going to be unanimously agreed upon was going to be that public money belongs in public schools. Here in Iowa, we've now given private schools vouchers, and we gave them a 44% increase in funding. Meanwhile, our public schools only 2%, not even keeping up with inflation. But the only thing that was unanimously agreed to, regardless if it was the most ardent Republican, conservative, was that our healthcare system is fundamentally broken, and that we pay 3 times as much as more than any other nation on earth, and we get by far the worst outcomes. And I think that is the one that certainly resonates the most with me is healthcare and capping pharmaceutical cost.
Okay, makes sense. Do you take corporate PAC money?
I do not. No.
Do you take AIPAC or any other Israeli lobby money?
I do not.
And what's your take on what our policy towards Israel should be? Should we continue to fund the government of Israel?
I certainly think Israel has the right to defend itself, but I think that offensive weapons that should be with the caveat of following international law. I'm hopeful that we see a peaceful solution to this conflict and a two-state solution in an end to this, because what we have seen in Gaza has been absolutely horrific, and the loss of life and the loss of civilians and children has been horrible.
Okay, so you would vote to cut funding for offensive weapons to Israel?
I think offensive weapons should only be with a caveat if a nation is following international law.
Okay, now how about the vote on the continuing resolution? 8 Democrats voted with them to end the government shutdown. The government shutdown was causing a lot of pain. What do you think about, would you have voted with the 8 Democrats or no?
No, I would not have. Really, really disappointing. I'm someone, as I've said, that I have championed and carried the flag for healthcare, and I believe that healthcare is a human right. The ACA subsidies are so valuable and important. It's millions of Americans that are going to see their healthcare premiums go up. Here in Iowa alone, 132,000 Iowans are going to see their healthcare premiums double or triple. This is on top of what we're already seeing with the big beautiful bill or big ugly bill. 110,000 Iowans that are going to lose their healthcare outright. And I've been ranking member on HHS budget here in Iowa, and our Medicaid system is already fundamentally broken. We've got Medicaid wait lists where we've got 26,000 disabled Iowans that are on wait lists. The longest wait list is 7 years for care. We have closed 31 nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, and rural hospitals in the last 5 years due to lack of reimbursement. It's fundamentally broken, and I'm disappointed, and I believe that healthcare is absolutely worth fighting for.
So let's say that you get elected, you're in the Senate now, and healthcare is obviously something that animates you, as you just explained. What would be the policy that you would push for?
Yeah, I'd like to see us move into, and in my ideal world, I'd like to see us have a public option. I think that what I have seen far too much in my life is I have seen unnecessary suffering. Like I said today, I mean, I was with my sister, going through it. An example of how broken our healthcare system is right now is she's someone that was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. She has private insurance, and her private insurance came to her and said, because you only have stage 2 breast cancer, not stage 3 or stage 4, we will not cover the PET scan to see if the cancer has spread to other parts of your body unless you pay $30,000 out of pocket. This is what is fundamentally wrong. I've seen far too much suffering of individuals either having to declare medical bankruptcy or divorce their spouse, particularly amongst individuals with disabilities. And I believe that healthcare is a human right, and I'm going to do everything I can to fight for affordable and accessible healthcare.
So obviously the doubling of the ACA subsidy is unacceptable. You just said you're in favor of the public option. You're in the populist plank. There's negotiating drug prices for Medicare, so obviously you agree with that. So the only thing that's left, I mean, there's 1,000 things left in healthcare, but universal healthcare. So are you in favor of that or no?
Yeah, I think that healthcare is a human right, and I think that there should be a public option for every single person. You should not be having to win the genetic lottery to have access to quality and affordable healthcare.
Okay, and last thing, Josh, is so you're a state representative. You've got the backing of some folks within the party, but you also have the backing of populists like J.D. Scholten, who Rebellion PAC had endorsed earlier and was in the race earlier. He got out and backed you. So you're threading that needle in an interesting way. So tell us about that. How do you thread the needle? How do you balance, the more traditional people in the party versus the prairie populists?
I mean, honestly, I'm just being who I am. I'm going out there, and every single day I'm working as hard as I can. So this is a lot of long days and a lot of late nights. We are traveling this state. We are getting in front of people over and over and over. I mean, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of enthusiasm happening here in Iowa. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about this populist message, what I'm talking to you about. I'm going out there and I'm saying I'm the candidate that is going to work for you, like we had with Senator Tom Harkin, working for the people, working for the middle class, driving down cost, making sure we've got a livable wage, making sure we've got affordable housing, driving out private equity out of our, as I've done at the state legislature, run a bill for a 5-year moratorium on private equity being able to buy single family homes, and doing something about healthcare and pharmaceuticals in our public schools and making sure everyone has access to clean air and clean water. And that is the message is applying, and it is resonating with people. We are winning rooms. And what we are seeing all over Iowa, not just in urban areas, but in rural areas particularly, because they're upside down with what Trump has done to them with the tariffs and with the commodities prices. We are seeing independents, Republicans, and Democrats that are turning out and saying, Iowa needs a change and the country needs a change. And even people that will say they're Republicans, we have proudly voted for Trump. We've voted for Grassley, we voted for Ernst, but not for this level of naked corruption, not for the erosion of democracy, not for cutting people's health care and food assistance just to give tax breaks to billionaires. And this is really a generational opportunity for us to be able to win here in Iowa. This is the first time since 1968 that we have an open Senate race and an open governor's race, and we have 2 open congressional races. In Trump's first midterm, we won 3 of the 4 congressional seats, and we can do that again. Iowa's going to be the center of the political universe in 2026, and I believe that I am the candidate with the message and the work ethic to be able to win back Senator Harkin's seat back and change our country.
Quick follow-up to that, Josh, because where the rubber hits the road is when it comes to votes, right? So you're in the Senate, and obviously if you won, that means the Democratic Party helped you, and right now, there are folks like Chuck Schumer saying that you might be the right guy, right? And so, and they're probably going to give you money in the general election. That's what happens with every candidate, not related to Josh, right? So you can't just, take them on 100%, presumably, right? On the other hand, in our experience, Democratic leadership has not been altogether that sage, just to put it mildly, and has not really tried to help the average guy. Certainly wouldn't call them prairie populists, right? So how can the voters know that you're going to vote with them and not with leadership if leadership says, no, Josh, you don't understand, or this or that, and we helped you, and it is what it is, and not in even nefarious way, just, hey, no, it is our judgment based on our experience here that it's gonna help the Democratic Party if you vote this way. And you have a sense that, and the progressives say the opposite, or the populists or the outsiders say the opposite. And look, if you know which way the voters are going, I assume you would go with the voters, right? So, or even if you weren't going to, you would say that, any person would, right? But how can they know now though, which side you would choose in that critical situation?
I think that the best indicator of future success in life is looking at previous success or previous examples. And I think you only need to look at my work in the Iowa legislature, where I have sponsored over 50 bills to work on things like raising a minimum wage, getting private equity out, to drive down affordable housing, everything that I've done on Medicaid reform and making healthcare more affordable and more accessible to individuals. I've put my money where my mouth is on this. I'm not taking any corporate PAC money. I'm beholden to no one and no group, no organization. I am doing this. I am someone that has gone through legitimate hardships and legitimate economic struggle and healthcare struggles. I know who I am. I'm not going to certainly change if I get up there to DC. I'm not doing this to get my name in lights or to get wealthy. I am doing this because we once again in Iowa, like we had for 30 years with Senator Tom Harkin, we need a true prairie populist that is going to go up to Washington and is going to fight for the people, fight for Iowa and Iowans, and not just the billionaires and the large corporations, as we're seeing us move into the second Gilded Age.
Yeah. And I will back up that he did introduce a bill banning private equity from buying residential real estate, and that was before the populist plank, not afterwards. So Josh was already there. All right, Iowa State Representative Josh Turek running for Senate in Iowa. We really appreciate you joining us and
having me. Genuine pleasure to be here. I mean it. I love what you guys are doing, and thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, no problem.
And please go to Turek for Iowa, Turek, the number 4 Iowa.com, and please join us. We are pushing for change here in Iowa. This really is a generational opportunity. Iowa is going to be the center of the political universe in 2026, and we can take back this Senate seat, and we can not only save the soul of Iowa, but we can save this country.
All right, Josh Turek, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, everybody stay right here. We're going to come back with the second candidate, Nathan Sage, also a populist in Iowa, running for the Senate seat. So stay right here. All right, back on the part 2 of this discussion on the Iowa Senate race. So we just talked to State Rep Josh Turek. We're going to talk to Nathan Sage next. They're both left-wing populists running for that Senate seat in Iowa. I think one of them is going to win that seat. So this is very important. I want you to hear both of them out, and then paying members at tyt.com. If you're a YouTube member, you can also vote as long as you're a member there. And if you want to vote there, we're trying to keep the trolls out. We're trying to get our core community to give us their real opinion on what they think of these folks. They're both great. I talked to them both off air before and I couldn't make up my mind. So it's not a binding vote, but it is a vote that will definitely help us figure out who we should support in this race. And I appreciate you guys being involved in every way. All right, so let's now talk to Nathan Sage. Nathan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no problem. So Nathan, tell us who you are, your background, and give us your elevator pitch for why you should be the Senate candidate for the Democrats in Iowa.
Absolutely. I like to say it like this. I'm a Marine mechanic, sports radio host, former executive director of the Knoxville, Iowa Chamber of Commerce. But more than anything, I'm just a kid that grew up in poverty on the west side of my hometown in Mason City in North Iowa. My dad was a factory worker. My mom was a daycare teacher. I learned at an early age that we didn't have a lot of opportunity. We didn't have a lot of money. Like I had to boil water on my stove when I was 14 years old to be able to give myself a bath because we couldn't afford to get the water heater fixed. So for me, I knew education and the idea of going to college was something out of the realm of possibility for me. And 9/11 happened when I was a junior in high school and just pushed me towards the military. My dad was a Air Force veteran, so I joined the Marine Corps as soon as I could when I was 17 years old, went to boot camp in 18, and went to Iraq for the first time when I was 19. Went to Iraq in 2004 and 2006, got out for a little while, went up to Mason City. I went back to Mason City, was a mechanic, like I said, joined the Army, and I got stationed at Fort Riley, Kansas, and sent to Iraq again. And when I came back, I finally realized that I got a GI Bill. I got a way to give myself an education. I did. I got the first person in my family to graduate a 4-year college. Got a degree in journalism, mass communication with a minor in leadership. Went about to Iowa and started working with in radio. Started doing sports news and eventually marketing and sales. And that's when I started to work with businesses every day in rural Iowa and understand really quick that businesses in rural Iowa are struggling and trying to keep the doors open, trying to keep the lights on. It's reminded me a lot of my dad when I was a kid trying to just put food on the table. And so for me, realized really quick in that scenario that the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and all of us in the working class are working the road, building the roads, we're teaching the next generation, we're doing all we can to make it in this world, and there ain't craps trickling down to us. And for me, I'm tired of living in this world where we're all lied to and left behind by politicians that are backed by billionaires and corporations and don't care about us. So I'm going to stand up and been fighting my whole life to survive in a world that doesn't want me, and I'm going to fight for people that are fighting every day to make it. So that's who I am in a quick nutshell. I'm here to be a working class voice, be a leader, and also a fighter, someone who knows how to fight. And I think right now that's what we need more than anything.
Okay, so that certainly answers who you are, your background, and what motivates you. Tell us a little bit more about why you think you'd be the best candidate.
Because at the end of the day, I grew up in poverty, and my friends, my family, where I come from, working class, we don't have this chance. We don't have this opportunity. We don't get a lot of time to stand up and fight for what we believe in. And right now, I have this opportunity to be a voice for a lot of people that don't have a voice. I get to stand up for a lot of people that feel like they've been lied to and left behind. A lot of people that have left the Democratic Party and gone to the independents and gone to Republicans because they don't feel like there's anybody there actually fighting for them or standing up for them. And at the end of the day, I tend to be very blunt. I tend to be very rough around the edges. I tend to drop a cuss word every once in a while because I think at the end of the day, that's what people need to understand is we're not going to keep doing this, and we're going to stand up and fight for what we believe in. And I think I'm the right politician to do this because Washington, D.C. is made up of 98% generational wealth and only 2% come from the working class. I think we need better representation in Washington so we can fight better and have better leaders.
So you're from the working class, no question about that. You're a Marine mechanic, as you explained. But there's a lot of folks that fit that category that are Republicans and a lot that are Democrats. So what makes you a Democrat?
I'm a Democrat because one simple thing. When I look at the world for what it is and what I've seen through my own eyes, It seems like the Republican Party wants to tear down all the things that we need to make it in this world, especially working class. And Democrats seem to be the type that want to help people. And more than anything in this world, I want to help people because I'm tired of watching my family struggle with affordability, struggle with, I mean, both my parents died of cancer in the state that's #1 in cancer rates. My dad at 54, my mom at 67. I'm tired of watching people fall into drug abuse and alcoholism because they can't afford life and they can't make it anymore. And they get to a point where they break. And I feel like there's so many working class people across Iowa that are screaming for help and they don't have a voice, and it seems like nobody's willing to listen to them. So for me, if I can be that voice, if I can be that representative and I bring proper representation to Washington that is not backed by billionaires or corporations or APAC or corporate PAC money, because we don't take any of that. I am here to fight for working class people that are just trying to make it in this world.
All right, so you mentioned those things. I was going to get to them later, but I'll do it now. So no corporate PAC money, that's clear. No APAC money, no Israeli lobby money at all.
Nope.
Okay, and so just like I asked Josh, I'll ask you, what do you think our policy towards Israel should be? Should we continue to fund the state of Israel?
Well, the way I look at it, obviously, I think we need to put pressure on our allies, right? I think we need to back our allies, but at the end of the day, I don't want to see American bombs killing innocents in this world. I'm not okay for American weapons killing innocents in this world. So I think we need to be putting pressure on our administration to work with our allies to make sure that innocent people, women and children are not dying. So that's how I stand, because at the end of the day, I've been to Iraq 3 times, I've been to war, and I'm not okay with the tragedies of wars and watching people die in this world.
So would you cut funding?
I think at the end of the day, I think there's ways you can make it where the weapons that we're giving to have conditions to them, or they're not used to kill innocents and kill people. I think it is up to our administration to implement those conditions to make sure that the innocents in this world are not killed.
Okay, all right. So you sign on to the populist plank. It's got the 6 policies that, not just Democratic populists, but almost all populists agree on. So of those, what do you prioritize, and what do you think is resonating the best in Iowa?
I think, it's affordability across the board is what is affecting everybody in Iowa. And I think raising wages raising the federal minimum wage, raising a livable wage for people is something. We just talked to food banks just last week, obviously with the issues with SNAP and the government shutdown and how things were going. We asked them, what is the key? What is the thing that needs more than anything to make sure that you go out of business? Because food banks don't want to be in business. They don't want to be in the condition to have to feed people. They want this world to be people be able to take care of themselves. And they said, give us a livable wage. Give people in this world a wage that they can actually make it on. And I think that is the obviously for me, #1. But I also, the cost of healthcare, we got to make healthcare affordable for people in this world. And there's a lot of people that we've talked to after our 99 county tour that are very worried about the cuts to Medicaid. They're worried about this big bullcrap bill. They're worried about, what's going to happen to the rural hospitals and how that's going to affect them when they start closing down in those rural communities. So I think for me, affordability across the board is something that we are seeing, because I tell everybody we've done the 99 county tour that's come out, they've said either 2 things. They're very scared of the world we're in or very angry about the world we're in. And we need to do something, and we need real fighters in Washington, real leaders in Washington.
So you mentioned healthcare there. So tell us what your policy proposals would be on healthcare and what you would fight for if you make it into the Senate on that issue.
Well, I think when I look at it, one thing that I always talk about are these pharmaceutical benefit managers that are literally the leech on the system. It's $518 billion industry, I believe, that is a leech between government and our pharmaceutical companies that dictate the price of our pharmacies, our pharmaceuticals. And then we have an aging population in Iowa. We're one of the oldest populations, and our people, they need their prescriptions to make it in this world and to have a chance to live. So I think making where prescription drugs are not as costly as what it is, and making it affordable for people and getting that leeching system, the pharmaceutical benefit managers that are leeching off our system out of our system, is the way to go to start lowering the cost of especially when it comes to our prescription drugs and healthcare.
So let's go down the list real quick. Obviously, we've got the ACA subsidies doubling now, and the Democrats are trying to prevent that. I assume that you're against them doubling, obviously.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Right. So now next is public option. Are you in favor of public option?
That's something I want to learn more about. But at the end of the day, I think we need more options in this world, so I wouldn't be opposed to it.
And then what do you think about universal health care?
I think universal healthcare is a place I'd love to get to. If I could vote to say yes to universal healthcare, I would vote yes. But at the end of the day, I think we need to expand Medicaid and make corrections and affordability now to until we get there. So if we could get to universal healthcare and I could vote to say yes to it, I would vote yes.
Gotcha. And by the way, we talked about pharmacy benefits managers, PBMs, before on the show, and they are a huge drain on the system. So that's certainly correct. So Nathan, I think that a normal voter in Iowa would ask, okay, I hear you, brother, and you sound like a real person, no question, right? Among the working class, and you were a mechanic, you worked as a talk show host, etc. Certainly, I could relate to it. But what have you done that would give people confidence that you will fight for these things in the Senate?
I'll say this: when it comes to fighting, that's an interesting thing because for me, it's what my whole life has been. So it's interesting to point to one thing to say, hey, I've done this or that. I'm the only one, I'm the only veteran here. I'm the only one that stood on the yellow footprints of MCRD San Diego and took the oath to support and defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. But I've also worked with people and being the executive director of the Knoxville Chamber of Commerce, different businesses, different entities, different Republican, Democrat, whatever it is, to learn how to communicate and learn how to actually get things done by working together. I mean, when we had RAGBRAI, which is Bike Ride Through Iowa, come through last year. I raised $18,000 to be able to put a concert on, to be able to raise money for our community. And when I was the executive director of the chamber, for those 2 years, I was the community of Knoxville was deemed a thriving community by the state of Iowa. So I think I did a pretty good job, working with people across different political agendas and businesses and learning how to stand up and not sit on the sidelines and watch this world crumble. I think at the end of the day, though, for me, I think being a working class guy that says it how it is, they call me the hairy tattooed fat guy that says it how it is. And if that's what it is, then people can understand that we're not going to sit idly by and I'm going to say the things that need to be said so people understand we're not going to keep doing this. Then that's the way I'm going to fight. Because at the end of the day, we cannot continue to live in a world where the rich get richer, the poor get poor. We lose out on everything that we need to survive in this world, and good people are dying. And they understand really quick that I am not your run-of-the-mill politician. I don't do your political talking points. I don't do run-of-the-mill jokes that aren't very funny. I'm tired of living in a world where everybody it seems good people are struggling, good people are having issues, and we need to make it where they have a chance to actually have real opportunities in this world. And that's what I'm going to do, is bring my voice and bring who I am to Washington, D.C. to actually stand up and fight for us instead of writing strongly worded memos or throwing snowballs from the cheap seats.
Right. So Iowa is, let's hope, a purple state. It has been red recently, but Obama won it. And so it's purple enough. But so then that leads to the question of how do you unite the left and the right without compromising our values?
Well, one thing that Trump won Iowa because he said, I'm going to lower the cost of living. I'm going to make groceries cheaper. I'm going to make life more affordable. That cuts from Republicans, Independents, and Democrats across the board. And we've had Republicans come out to our events and say, Nathan, I didn't know who the hell you were until my Trump-loving Republican son sent me your video and said, this is a guy I would vote for because he looks like he's actually fight for us. We had an event in Council Bluffs the other day where we had a woman who said, Nathan, I've been a Republican since I was 17 years old. And the only reason I'm sitting here in front of you right now is because it seems like nobody is fighting for us. Nobody's representing us. And you look like somebody that actually wants to stand up and fight for us and isn't going to take no for an answer. And so for me, I think at the end of the day, giving people somebody that is actually resonates with them, talks the way that I talk, looks the way that I look, at the end of the day is willing to stand up and fight for them. That's what they want, and they want a little bit more money in their paycheck. We've talked to union members who said, Nathan, put 50 cents more in my paycheck. I can take my family out to a movie theater. I can actually be the member of society that I wanted to be. But right now, in the world we have where rent is jacked up, high prices of living is jacked up, groceries are high, we can't do it anymore. And it seems like nobody's listening. So for me, I'm going to keep talking about affordability, talk about the way of life in Iowa, and give them someone that looks like me, that a regular Iowan that it seems like in Iowa and Democratic Party, the working class has kind of been left behind, and give them someone to actually properly represent them is what I'm trying to do, and stand up and not be what we saw recently, where we have people bending the knee or being cowards.
So would you have voted with the Republicans on the continuing resolution like the 8 Democrats did?
No, absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I think at the end of the day, why did we do the government shutdown to begin with? We drew a line in the sand, right? And we said, we're not going to do this. We need to make life more affordable for people. We need to extend the ACA tax credits. And then we have a momentum happen on Tuesday night where the election is like, okay, obviously what we're doing is right. People care about working class issues. They care about affordability. That's what cuts across everything. And then out of nowhere, we're just going to take the wind out of our sails and we're going to kick the can down the road another mile or whatever. And it doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, we're going to have to fight anyway. We're going to have to stand up. And it doesn't seem, what it seems like to me, someone from the military, I got told this all the time, piss poor planning equals piss poor performance. And that is a reflection on piss poor leadership. And Chuck Schumer and the leaders there seem to be more about caving and bending the knee than standing up for the Americans they're supposed to represent. So I'm not okay with it.
So, some would say, and I frame it that way because I wouldn't say it. Oftentimes Fox will use that as a cover for what they would say, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. But it's important, and it's a legitimate point. Some would say, yeah, but Nathan, you gotta work with the party in some way, right? And so if you're pissing off leadership, then they might not be prone to let you introduce bills, et cetera. So how do you thread that needle?
I think at the end of the day, like we can't keep doing the same thing over and expect a different result. We can't keep following the same leaderships that led us nowhere. We've been nothing but losing for the past, 10 years, 20 years. It seems like the Democratic Party's lost all a favorability. They don't have any backbone, no spine at all. And so for me, if you have a problem with me standing up for the people that I'm representing and doing what the people of Iowa are asking me to do, then I don't care. We have to fight for Iowans. We have to fight for the people that I'm representing. If not, I'm not going to be there. And I understand that some people have to walk a certain line, but I think Iowans want someone with a backbone. Iowans want someone that's going to stand up and go, no, this is not okay. We have to extend these ACA tax credits, because if we don't do that, our healthcare premiums are going to double. We are not going to be able to afford this, and we need to make it where we can actually afford healthcare. And I'm tired of the same empty promises. And I know so many Iowans are of the same empty promise. We're going to get there. We're going to fight. This is going to look good for us. Well, you know what? It hasn't done it. What have we done? I said it earlier. We keep losing. We can't do the same playbook anymore. We have to put our foot in the sand and say, you know what? We're Democrats. We're here to fight. We're here to fight for people that are fighting every day to survive. And we shouldn't be bending the knee, especially when we feel like we finally have momentum.
Yeah. So for voters who are voting based on who is more likely to win, they see someone that has not worked in politics before, and by the way, the other problem with that is that generally speaking, mainstream media disfavors candidates like you, and so then it's harder to get coverage, et cetera, et cetera. So how do you get past those hurdles and prove to people that you're more likely to win?
We do what we've already been doing, right? For me, it's continuing to represent people and continue to talk and listen to people. We did this 99 county tour. It's about going out and listening to the people in Iowa. At the end of the day, DC insiders, backdoor deals are not going to win Iowa. It's going to be talking to Iowans. Anybody knows who's come here for the caucus in Iowa, you got to sit on their front porch and you got to talk to Iowans, and you got to be able to let them see you, hear you, breathe, and let you, ask questions and answer those questions. You got to be a real boy, right? And one thing that we get taught every single place we go, someone shakes my hand and goes, there's other candidates, but you're real. And I'm like, well, this is all that I know how to be. And I think that's what we need more than anything. And honestly, for me, I can only control what I can control. If media doesn't want to put me on there on TV because I'm a little rough around the edges, or I might cuss here and there, at the end of the day, that doesn't bother me. What it bothers me is the representation we don't have in Washington, the representation we don't have for Iowans. I am here simply because we don't have representation in Iowa. I am here to fight for the people that I am supposed to represent. And the way that I'm supposed to represent them is to not be the typical run-of-the-mill, because we're tired of it. We've had the same slicked back-haired politicians come to our neighborhoods, say the same thing, and do their press, have cameras in the background, taking pictures of handing out food to people. At the end of the day, they still take money and go. They don't fight for us. They don't, represent us. And so for me, I'm going to continue to do what I can do. Be any podcast, any TV show, any news station, anything I can get on, I'm going to be on, getting my message out. But more than anything, I'm going to be out in Iowa like I have been since August 1st. We've done over 10,000 miles, 250 hours in the car, and over 140 events. Nobody else compares to me right now. I am out there trying to talk to everybody, because that is what important to Iowans, is to understand that I am here to fight for them.
All right, one last question for you. Do you have a political mentor or hero that you look up to? And it doesn't have to be political either. Any kind of mentor or hero that you think, well, that's a shining model right there.
That is a hard question. I don't know. For me, probably my mom. Passed away 3 years ago to cancer. Did everything she could to raise my brother and sister. I think at the end of the day, common sense and the way she always raised, and being a tough woman and not backing down and not taking no for an answer, made me who I am. She was out in boot camp when I graduated. She's always been that person for me. So, that's where I get a lot of my motivation, is somebody like her who never had money, struggled all her life, did everything she could for her family. Like, that's who I am. That's what I was raised to be. And I think my mom would be very proud that I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm not bending the knee to anybody. I am standing up for what I believe in. I think at the end of the day, she's my hero.
All right, Nathan, what's your website so people can go to?
SageForSenate.com. Check us out. You can also check us out on social media as well, Sage for Iowa. But SageForSenate.com is the place to be to learn more about me.
All right, Nathan Sage, running for Senate in Iowa on the Democratic primary. Thank you so much for joining us, Nathan. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. All right, guys, now go ahead and vote now. Go to tyt.com. You got Nathan Sage and you got Representative Josh Turek, both from Iowa. You've just heard them both. They're both populists. They're both on the left there, and they both say that they want to fight for you. It's a tough choice. If it was easy, I'd have done it already. So tyt.com for paying members, again, just to keep the trolls on, make sure it's the core community. So we appreciate you guys, and we'll keep that poll up for a couple of days, give people a chance to view this, and then come back and talk to you guys about it. All right, thank you for everybody for watching. We appreciate you, and we'll see you tomorrow.